So, an issue that I have observed occurring quite commonly in the spiritual community is the concept of high vibration, low vibration, intention, and attraction, especially when it comes to manifestation. Quite often, I hear readers and spiritual leaders and a lot of people saying things like, you need to maintain a positive mindset. You need to avoid heavier emotions like anger, jealousy, grief. You need to get out of depression ASAP, etc., because what you feel is what you're going to attract. You create your own reality by embodying it, by living in those energies. And what I have noticed that creating as a behavior in most people is that they will, in the effort to try to manifest a particular outcome or goal or life path for themselves, they'll be like, okay, I have to do what I need to do to make anger and these heavier emotions and my critical self talk just not exist in my life because I need my life to improve now. So I'm going to just push it out of my mind. I'm just going to breathe. I'm going to meditate it away. I'm going to exercise it away. I'm not going to deal with it um, because I don't want to lower my vibration. I want to attract the good vibes, so I must be in the good vibes. And what that leads to is people engaging in avoidance, repression, denial. And I've watched multiple people in my personal life engaging in this sort of belief and mindset where they ignore, dismiss, and criticize anything that they think will lower their vibration. And it actually creates for them a life where they are creating problems for themselves and creating situations that where they themselves are the problem. I don't know if this is quite making sense for you, but when you deny and repress and just avoid everything that's happening in your inner world, which is all very natural, all those emotions, all those thoughts, they're totally natural, they're totally normal. When you try to just kind of get rid of them and keep yourself happy and peppy and just up in the high vibration, you stop problem solving, you stop paying attention to what's happening around you and what's happening within yourself, and you start unintentionally steering yourself towards situations that are actually going to add more pain to your life. When you set the intention of avoidance, you steer yourself towards avoidance. Experiencing emotions isn't a bad thing. It's the intention that you live your life by, I think I have found that actually matters the most. If you intend to go on the healing journey, if you intend to pursue what is known as your highest good, if you tend to pursue a life where you are uncovering and crafting yourself in your life in alignment with who you are at your core, that is the intention by which you are consciously and subconsciously steering yourself. And the work it takes to get there, even if it's bumpy, even if it's low vibrational, it's not actually derailing you or altering your path at all. It's like driving a car. You're driving down a straight road, and from the outside perspective, the line you're driving is incredibly straight. But while your hands are on the steering wheel, you're making all these little micro adjustments. You're turning left a little bit, you're turning right a little bit. You hit a rock, and so you have to kind of swerve just a little bit, or there's something in the road, so you got to swerve a little bit. Your car drifts to the left, so you always have to kind of aim your car to the right ever so slightly, but you're still driving a straight line. It's the intention that gets you to where you're wanting to go. If you align yourself with the healing process, you're going to align yourself with the outcomes associated with that healing process. And where people get caught, I think, is a lot of times the way that we heal, we tend to naturally want to avoid pain. And sometimes what we need, because we avoid pain and because we just bask in the good times rather than making good use of it, we kind of need certain pains sometimes to bring to our conscious awareness stuff that's been hidden in our subconscious for a really long time. And so when you're on a path of healing, it can get really, really, really bumpy sometimes. And people kind of get discouraged and think, oh no, I'm doing it wrong. I'm manifesting problems for myself. That's not what's happening. You're, it has to get worse before it can get better. I want to clarify something else. Pain is not the only way to heal. I have experienced love that cracked me open to my core and showed me parts of myself I have never seen faster and way more pleasantly than pain ever has. It's just we we tend to take note of and work with pain more because it's in our face. We can't avoid it. We can't get rid of it. So that tends to be what we experience and use most often, most associate with healing is it hurts before it gets better. If that's happening, you're not necessarily manifesting outcomes associated with pain and trauma. You can be severely depressed for a decade, and as long as you're doing the inner work, you're not dragging more of those experiences into your life. You're working your way through them. It will look like the opposite sometimes. Don't be afraid of the small emotions. Don't be afraid of the big emotions. Don't be afraid of what's happening inside of yourself. That isn't changing your trajectory. It's what you do about it that determines what outcomes you're aligning yourself with. I have found in my personal readings that when I am in a distressed state, I tend to get readings about my ex, even when I'm not asking about him. And it's more like the cards are acting as a mirror saying, hey, you're distressed because this trauma that you've been avoiding it needs to be dealt with here. We're going to show you this information about your ex so you can be like, oh shit, oh, that's what was happening. That's what a reflection of what I'm feeling now, and I'll let you deal with it. When I'm calm, chill, centered after having been through that hard work, I will often get readings about the future I'm working towards. And the two can make it very much seem like you have to get rid of the bad emotions in order to go to a good outcome and ending, but it's much more long term than that. I don't know if that really made sense. You kind of have to try it and have faith in the journey to get through the shit in order to see what I mean, unfortunately. But I just want to kind of have a counter argument to the you have to avoid disappointment and whatnot if your manifestations aren't happening when you want them, because that just delays your manifestations. They aren't. They really aren't. It's all part of the process. Don't be afraid of the process. It is not stopping your manifestations. It is not stopping you from aligning with your best outcome. Sometimes it just takes longer than you want it to, no matter what you do. And it gets worse before it gets better. Don't be afraid of yourself. If you The more you avoid yourself, the more life stacks pain onto you, and the more energy you have to expend to keep repressing and avoiding yourself until you are every day utterly exhausted by just trying to stay in that happy vibe, whereas everything that's in your subconscious, in your shadow, is getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's starting to make your decisions for you, and that's going to steer you to a life that you do not want to be living. You might feel good in the moment because you're making sure you're feeling good, but eventually you will reach a point where you can't sustain that and you're going to break and you're going to have no skills to deal with it. And your life is going to be really, really small. On that same note, I've heard people oftentimes saying, protect your peace. Don't. Don't protect your peace. That is going to lead you to that same mindset of clinging desperately to the peace that you have and rejecting everything that isn't peace. Don't protect your peace. Learn to be the eye of any and every storm within and without. Be the peace. And you learn how to be the peace by being the freaking storm. Not sure if I've really made my point very well, but this is a concern I've had for a while, and every time I start repressing my emotions in order to try to make something happen, it does not go well for me, and I'm sure that there are other people dealing with the same issue, and this channel is ultimately shaping up into being one about healing, so I have to cover this. don't don't be afraid to do the inner work because it's actually helping you lighten your load, which is raising your vibration. I don't like that terminology, but that's what we're used to, so I'm using it. The more work you do, the lighter you get. Okay, good luck. I love you guys. I hope you understood what I mean. Take good care of yourselves.